Okay, we'll get the meeting started. We have Representative Sasupa, Morgan, Wells, Massett, Jackson, and moderator. Okay, you guys, so this is an orientation mostly for the new members for questions and get you guys adjusted. And JC will probably be the one answering most of the questions tonight.
I'll try my best.
He will do his best, right? So if you look at the agenda, if you have it with you, I'm gonna apologize. The agenda, I didn't notice till today when I print it, is not in order. The packet itself, I tried to update as much information as I could. Jennifer from the library and I are working on updating everything. And once we have it complete, I will make sure everyone gets one, okay? Because it does have a lot of good information in here. So.
Did you just say we have an agenda for tonight's meeting?
Yeah, this is, Chaz, this is it right here. I think it was sent to an email if you need to.
That's why I could, yeah, I couldn't do that.
This is,
I don't have.
no, all right. You can use this and I'll work off
Yeah,
my,
I should have, I'm sorry.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I didn't print any.
And I didn't even think to print out extra ones.
Okay.
No worries. You're gonna work out of your.
Oh,
phone?
yeah, I'll go off of my
Okay,
email.
so it says introductions. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, go right ahead. You guys all know, I'm Marisol Melendez, the town clerk.
Yeah.
Melanie Morgan, District 6.
Chaz Azelka, District 7.
Jean-Claude Amboise, District 2, and moderator.
Kyle Thaxton, District 4.
Or
And who do we, and just for, can you guys share Rep Wells and Rep Massett?
Jackie Massett.
oh, they both zooming in?
Yeah, they're both in Zoom right now.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Gary Wells,
Yeah.
District
Yeah, they both
5.
are both.
District.
Yeah, can you click invite?
What?
So they can speak.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, anyways, for the folks at home, so we can kind of keep it moving. All right, Jackie, you're muted.
Oh, there.
Rep Wells, yes, hello.
Hello,
You're
hello.
muted. We can't hear you.
No, I'm not. There you are. Hello, hello.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something else. We'll let Sean figure it out. He's the guru there. Yeah.
Well, we can hear you. Okay,
All right, so again, we have some membership here, and part of this is to provide this orientation so that for the members that might not be able to attend could take a look. We've done this in the past in the last term, so we felt it was helpful to at least give the opportunity for new members to kind of know the ins and outs of what we're here and elected to do, as well as the other parts of Groton governance, so we can get more clarification. And whatever I can't answer and Town Clerk Melendez can't answer, we'll work to get those answers through either the town manager or other resources that we have.
one way to look at it, absolutely. The next thing is the RTM in the charter, and I did give you guys in the packet, there is charter section 4.1 through 4.
So is that in the packet right there?
No, that's in from the town council, an old one. And
So-
you don't
The
have the
packet from
packet.
last week?
No,
You know what? The packet does have the charter. That one is the charter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that,
I don't think I'm right.
you don't have the charter? Let me get it for you. Do you need kind of the charter?
I guess it's yeah, the extra one.
Yes, I do. Extra packet, so. So you read, section 4.1, 4.6. That is RTM.
and just to give you some background, the last time that this charter has been revised was in 2009. Back in November of 2008, it went to referendum to make adjustments and changes. So this is the current rules that govern the town of Groton, along with Connecticut general statutes and the US Constitution. So these are the outlining principles of how we run town with our different forms of government, our boards and commissions, and all of those other pieces within there. And I know it's a lot to chew today, but it's always good to familiarize yourself with it. And what Town Clerk Melendez has done today is kind of focus on what we have, what our existence is, which is
highlighting.
based on chapter 4, the RTM. Okay, so if we want to take a look, everybody's got that there. I think we're good.
That should be page.
It's page 4 on this town charter, but I don't know what it is on the packet. So I'll get us started until you guys kind of get it, find that. Under chapter 4 in the representative town meeting, it outlines our membership and the powers. I'm not going to go chapter and verse, but we do have the opportunity to have up to 45 members within our body. Right now, we're in the upper 30s. We do have the opportunity to get up to 42. We're waiting on a couple of vacancies that we have in certain districts, and they have the opportunity, someone at large or someone based on other parts of the charter, minority representation on the RTM. They have whether it's a Republican, Green Party, unaffiliated, independent, they can take that seat for that district. Okay, and we have 7 districts here within the town of Groton right now. At one point, we used to have 8, and then we reapportioned and then shrunk those. And so now we are at 7. So and it's all based on the polling locations that you're at, on top of, that surrounding district. So for example, I'm District 2. So anybody that votes at Thames River Academy would be District 2. If I was voting at Fitch, I'd be in District 5 and that surrounding area. So that kind of ties it in for voting anyways. Again, there's a lot more residents and citizens within the town that may or may not vote, or our youth. So they are the people that we are representing within that district. And then we work together in order to do what I think our nuts and bolts is approve expenditures. So part of 4.1.2, that next one is anytime there's an expense over $10,000, that would end up coming to us for review. Part of our rules state that we would end up sending that to committee. They have a discussion about it. Clerk Melendez was kind enough to give everybody a parliamentary procedure ABCs, which we would follow Robert's rules, follow FOIA, and make a motion, second it, have a discussion on an issue, pass it, fail it, and then those findings would then go to the entire body of the RTM, where we have an opportunity to discuss that item as a whole group. We didn't have that opportunity at our last meeting because we were kind of in the middle of terms. So what we did is part of our rules states that we can we have to have a discussion about something, but we can also, part of Robert's rule says we can suspend the rules that we have in order to act on certain items. And again, there's a mechanism in place that states we have to have 2/3 majority in order to pass something that isn't on the agenda, so that we can suspend the rules and talk about other things.
So can I ask a question?
Yes, indeed.
How often do things come up that are over $10,000? Is that pretty common?
In most cases, it has to do during the budget season,
Right.
but we've had items that would come in, such as grants, other outside funding, where we would have to act on that just to follow what we have here as our guiding documentation in the Groton Town Charter, and we follow our process. So, some people in town may say the RTM is kind of the checks and the balance, or the check of the balance.
Right.
Others would say it was the final stamp on something going through a process and having discussion. But
Is this why at the first meeting when we were sworn in, we voted on those two grants?
correct.
Okay.
All right, so, and part of this is, and I don't want to get in the weeds here, but town health council has their rules and their obligations as elected members of the town to vote in and reject certain items, whether it's an ordinance, whether it's grant funding, or whether it's an expenditure, and then some of those things will come to us. Certain ordinances might come to us, but the bulk of what we do has to do with the expenditures of the town. Whether it's grant funding that we get, or we wanted to pave a road or purchase a property, it'll start at the town offices, make its way to the town council for approval, and then come to us, and then we would have that last look at it before it's accepted or rejected. Okay, so in chapter 4 of the RTM kind of gives us these abilities as representatives and elected officials to make these decisions. So, and again, it goes into specifics into that 4.1.2 of accepting dollar amounts, which is in that section D. And then under Connecticut general statutes, that's where we have that ability to approve and reject items. One thing to note in 5.1.3 is our 5.1.3 on section 5, relationship with municipal and administrative employees. We can't give orders. We're not, popping a gavel at somebody. I can't point fingers at other individuals and say, hey, you got to do this for me. We have a process. I feel very confident that the town employees that we have and the folks that are working within the town are very responsible and professional and responsive to what we may need. So there's almost, I worked in the prison, so it's all about chain of command. So if there's something that anybody would need in the body, you could either ask myself, I can relay that message. You could send in a message to the town clerk or reach out to the town manager to try to get those questions answered and find out information that you're looking for. But, I'm just saying, barging into a specific building and saying, I demand answers. And again, there's a process for that. And I think that most of us here know that there's the right way and, the right way to do things. And we can follow just that process and procedure to get to where we need to go. Yes, sir.
Back up.
Mhm.
The RTM could have 45 members.
Mhm.
We're operating right now with only 32. 12.
Technically, the max we can have is 42.
Right now, because
every 4 years, we have to reapportion the numbers.
So we can have 42.
So when we did it, because it's done every 4 years on a presidential election, we have 60 days for the clerk and
Okay.
for ROE to get the numbers. So we did 45. Right now, with the people that were elected and the people that were seated at the last meeting, I believe it's 38 we're at now.
We have 38.
We're at 38.
we have 38 awaiting people being sworn in. And then there are
And I believe we have
So
two.
what's a
we have three vacancies right now.
Right, and
You
we
have
have
to
two that are.
cancel a meeting because you did not have enough people in
No, sir.
attendance.
We had, no,
You haven't had that happen.
Not on a regular meeting.
not on a regular meeting, not. that
But,
we
and again,
had
a good thing that we have is the provision of Zoom.
Right,
So if somebody's unable to make it, they got other things going on, they can Zoom in
right.
and we can make our quorum.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
usually it's around 20 people that we would need in order to have a quorum. We need to have half of the membership, so half of 38 would be what we would need to have a quorum right now. Once we get those other 3 members in, it would make it to 41, then we would have to have at least,
It would
20.
be- Right,
yeah.
So do you need a simple majority to pass an ordinance?
In most things, yes, you would need a simple majority, but there are other things based on Robert's rules and
Okay,
the rules of the RTM that state that you would need to have more than that. You need the 2/3 to have that.
My God.
Are you joining the RTM?
Yeah, she's in.
Funny, I already have.
Yeah, we're in our meeting right now. We're in our meeting right now, Natalie, so.
We're in a meeting, right?
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine, and I'd recognize Natalie Billings, she's been a longtime public service of the town of Groton, and again, it's a public meeting, so feel free to pop in, and if there's anything, just ask me or the town clerk will yield the floor to you, because you've had vast experience. You're one of the trifectas here in the town of Groton, who's been at town council and RTM, so I'm glad you popped in, so thank you. Just in case, emeritus. Emeritus, all right. Yep.
I think the next thing highlighted is, in the charter, 9.4, the duties of the RTM on the budget, and 9.6, the financial powers of the RTM.
When RTM meets, does it meet here or in the senior center? Where
This-
It's gonna be at Thrive 55 on all locations. However, if you happen to have a committee, depending on, the availability of rooms, it could be here, it could be in CR2 in the annex. Some folks may decide that they want to do a virtual meeting, and then you could just, connect with all those other folks. And then we also have hybrid versions. But you would want to speak to the town clerk's office, if you're a chair of a committee or something to that nature, where you can schedule that appropriately, and then we make it available for the public to know that we're having that meeting.
Are meetings acceptable now where everybody is virtual?
Yes,
Okay, that never used to be when I.
no, it is now. I mean, part of Connecticut general statutes makes it
Okay, so you don't have.
valid to do that.
Okay.
And they may, the chair of that committee has made declare that it's
Uh-huh.
better to have that virtual meeting. Make sure that everybody shows up.
Yeah. I don't know if I like
Okay. So, JC, excuse me, moderator.
Yeah, it's okay. I
I
need the formalities. That's great.
I want to speak on 9.4 and 9.6, financial powers of the RTM and the duties of RTM.
Okay,
But
again, one of our big responsibilities is working on the budget. As I mentioned at our last meeting, town manager and the department heads are now working to formulate the budget for next year. We had some discussion on, a few members asking, hey, we want to see if we can have certain, threshold on expenditures to calculate, tax increases, understandable. They're going to go through their process, and a lot of times what I've seen over the years, they discuss numerous numbers, moon and the stars and the, green clovers and blue diamonds, but then also says, all right, level services budget with a decrease and see what happens. And then from there, that ends up getting formulated together. They put the budget book together in March. That then gets presented to the public. You can get it. We're going to get an actual booklet. It's also going to be available online for the public to see through the town website. And then we're getting ready for our budget discussions, which it starts at the town council, which is what 9.3 is. Then it goes to us as 9.4, where our duties are to start having budget discussions held on or before May 3rd. So May is going to be the bulk of our work. Slate out some time, make sure you have your schedules cleared. And on top of that, because we have a rule within our RTM rules that all items will get discussed by our committees first. Our committee discussions, those findings will come to the main body of the RTM between May 3rd and the 25th of May, and then we will end up approving the budget number. We may increase a budget number, we may reduce a budget number, just, I always remember this. This is a budget request. Okay, it's the request where some people may say we're cutting an item or we're doing something else. This is the requested amount. Starts with the town manager. Town council deliberates and makes their discussion, and then it goes to our committee, who may decide, all right, I like this number. I want to increase this number. I want to decrease this number. The one thing that we have to know as RTM members is that if there's a reduction by the town council to a number that was requested by the town manager, we would have to, in order to restore that funding or increase that funding, we would need to have a 2/3 majority vote of members present at the time of the meeting in order to restore that funding. Okay, that's one of the big things that will end up it would come up on occasions with certain big ticket items and some other things that may be passionate to other members of RTM. So what I would recommend, if there's something that members are really passionate about and wanting to have that funding restored, you got to follow the proper protocols, but I would say, like, in a way, whip up the votes. All right, but you would have to speak specifically to individuals in order to do that, not write an email to everybody and say, hey, I want to do this, do that, because then all of a sudden you may be having a conversation, which could be foible, and you might be having what we call an inappropriate and illegal meeting. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, and again, usually what we have, and I'll try to share this with everyone else. Every year we have people from the Freedom of Information Act Commission come down and do a seminar for everyone, so that you know the ins and outs of what you can and can't do within a meeting. Okay, like for example, we put this meeting together this evening. It wasn't on our schedule, so if you look at the top of the agenda, it says it's a special meeting. Okay, we can't just all come together. Like if I said, hey, come to my house tonight, eat a fried turkey, I need 21 RTM members here. There may be a chance that, again, we could all enjoy the fried turkey, but we may start talking about something that would be on an agenda item, and it's because we have that many people present, it would make it a quorum, and it could be in violation of the Freedom of Information Act. Okay, it doesn't usually happen like that, but we just have to be very mindfully aware. So when we send messages to elected membership, we send it out as kind of an information only piece. We don't expect people to start coming back and discussing what could be on an agenda or any items like that.
And I usually try to remember to blind CC everyone, so that way someone doesn't hit reply all, and then all of a sudden there is that conversation happening. So you'll see probably I'll send it like to myself and then blind CC the RTM, just to keep it safe.
Yeah. And again, it's.
Could I be out with Kyle and Melanie
Yes.
and vote virtually from the same place?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, I can't tell where you are or where you aren't. So that's
So we would eat, the three of us would be coming in, say, from my house. We throw parties on. So at my house, I could have people there voting. I don't.
If you're members and you're logged in and you're present at a meeting, you each have the right to vote. It's no different than us sitting here right now and having these conversations. So
another interesting thing now.
We each have to be logged.
Yeah.
Representative Massett has.
Oh, wait, they each have to be logged in?
yeah,
Yes.
go ahead. Yes, Representative Massa, go ahead.
I
Jackie on?
just a couple of things that
Yeah, we
gotta
can't
do.
hear you though.
You can't?
I hear the microphone going. Is it because that thing's not on?
I don't know, because I'm unmuted.
I don't see this thing on. I'm not a tech guy.
We could ask her to call.
See,
you.
Kyle,
you
and
me
Melanie,
now?
I only have to ask that because I was involved when we didn't have virtual meetings or anything, so that's why I'm new at this part. So we could be, I just can't believe you can do that.
We did that over-
From one.
You can't hear me. It's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, hey.
Okay, yay. I was just jotting down a few things and JC and the clerk kind of hit on a couple. And one thing that I did write down is to just kind of forget that there is a reply all option. And just it does not exist. And that way you kind of stay, hopefully, on the right side of things. I would also like to suggest that maybe we consider having a couple of sessions like this before the budget, because the budget for new folks can be absolutely overwhelming. So if we could do it beforehand, then when we're doing budget deliberations, it doesn't get bogged down. And the other suggestion that I have when it comes to the budget is watch the town council deliberations so that when we're discussing it, you kind of have a clue as to where the town council came from. And that's it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jackie, for bringing that up. And, you know, if you guys were at the meeting last Wednesday, I did bring that up. I mean, it is critical and it helps a lot to answer the questions that all of us may have about certain line items and department budgets and all those other things. And it's really helpful because that question may have been answered at a town council meeting. It may have been answered at a subcommittee or a committee meeting for us. And if you have a question, feel free to reach out to myself, town clerk, or the town manager, and they can get that answer for you. Town manager would be the perfect person to answer that. And he's very responsive when it comes to questions that you may have.
I was wondering for sort of FOIA, I'm a little familiar with FOIA from my job, but that's with my state emails, so it obviously be FOIA, but I'm wondering, with my personal Gmail that I'm using for this, are those emails FOIA-able?
As an elected official, yes, you are, Representative Daxton. So that's a good point. I've made the recommendation to others, and I might not have done this for you and you as well. I choose to have a specific email that I use on the town register for RTM specific items. So, you know, you could say rep that Daxton RTM at gmail.com, and then that's the email. So if somebody, or if there's an interest in FOIAing somebody's communications, then all of it could be there instead of I'm using my, you know, a personal account and just like professional, keep those separated. It's an Offspring song. Yeah, I would suggest that to anybody who's watching at home that's going to see this later on, to get a specific email account that you would be using just for this. We had attempted many a times as a group to have RTM email addresses designated by the town, but it's quite costly. And with turnover, it made it difficult. So this was the alternative compromise that we thought out. So I'd go with that.
Decide to do that, make sure you contact clerk's office so we can update the sign register.
Cool.
But
Thank you.
this is where all the information.
Again, even for the public, if somebody in the public had a question, they could always just send that question to the town clerk and say, I want to share this with all the RTM, and we'll get it. And then you'll be able to read it through that too. So I believe our minimum requirement as representatives is to provide our email address so that we can be contacted. Other things like addresses and phone numbers, due to what we've seen in the past, we have the ability to keep that discreet if needed. So I just want to throw that out there too. Was there anything else, Rep Master? I think that was it, right?
That was it for me,
Thank you.
for now.
So we're gonna kind of move forward. So we talked about 9.4 and the duties of the RTM. We talked about the restoration of budget items that may have been reduced by the town council. And then in 9.5, there's a failure to adopt the budget, which again, never happened in my time. I don't know if it's ever happened, but again, it's that mechanism in place where it states if the budget wasn't passed, it goes to the town manager's budget. Okay, so whatever that may be. Okay, and again, they did the work and for October, December, they put the book together, but we've always finished our work as long as I've been here since 2009, when Meredith operator Billy was there. We got it over. We always got it done. You know, there might have been a couple of things at the very end of the meeting that we needed to tie up, but our job specifically as RTM members is to approve the expenses, whether it's town operations, Board of Education, and also capital improvement projects. Those are the things that we do. And then after that, it goes and then gets estimated and calculated what the tax rate is going to be. And that's beyond our purview when it comes to that. The town council then goes in and decides where they're going to get the revenues for the expenditures that we've approved through the process. Does that make sense?
You have a question.
And again, you can kind of see some overlap here. Like if you're looking at 9.6, this kind of ties into what we're doing in chapter 4 of the RTM, where we have to approve everything over the amount of $10,000 that comes to us. So, you know, if there's something that's small, we might not see that on the regular, but that is the number that we would need.
So we can't project specific, like line items within the budget that the town council gives us, but
It's a great question.
if there's a supplementary line item over 10,000, that can be debated, rejected, sent back, but the actual original budget can't, right?
And that's a wonderful question. Over the years, we've had members that wanted to increase specific line items to have something happen or decrease specific items with the intent of reducing something, whether it's a service, an employee, a specific project or anything like that. It boils down to the town manager and the department heads have the right to take that money that we've approved and use it as they see fit. All right, and the same thing would go with the Board of Ed. You could say, Board of Education, I want to reduce this specific project or this specific learning activity, or reduce the number or increase the number of employees. It's up to the discretion of the town manager and the superintendent and Board of Ed chair to determine where that goes. Okay, so I can say that all I want. Oh, I want to reduce this number by 20 grand. And what we've seen over the years is, okay, we can do that, but there's a specific pool of money for supplies and overhead, and there's a specific number, a dollar amount for employees. And then you think of contractual obligations to union and bargaining and management, and then all of a sudden you're saying, oh, we're less 20, and that means we may have to reduce an employee. So again, that's a great point. But when we get specific grant funding, or if there's a CIP or capital improvement project, we want to pave a road, we want to put a new basketball hoop up, those things, yes, you could say, all right, I don't think this is necessary at this point. I want to reduce this number specific. I hope that answers your question.
And all expenses are covered by revenue, or is that by debt, like budget, just revenue based, or?
So we, like, for example, if a certain department wants to spend money on a project, and I'm just gonna use one that we know, like a Sutton Park, or we wanna buy a new, snow plow or something like that, we're gonna end up seeing that a lot of times in a line item that says, all right, we're gonna spend this money on paving, we're gonna spend this money on a basketball hoop. A lot of times it'll come in the capital improvements, which comes from another fund, which is capital reserve. Okay, so every year we through the budget, we end up putting money into that capital reserve fund so that we can then pay for certain items that are coming up. It's the same thing with fleet reserve, right? So that was interesting because all different departments will pay into this fleet reserve. And eventually Parks Rec needs a new vehicle, Public Works needs a new item, and then they would then request those items and then we'd approve the expenditures for the fleet. Same thing with computers. We have a computer replacement fund so that we, instead of having to pay every year, you know, one big lump sum for this department, and then next year, this one comes up, and next one, this one, everybody's contributing to that fund. And as the useful life of those items go due, then all of a sudden, they are now taking that and getting those new pieces of IT equipment through the computer replacement fund. Yeah, and again, like I said, you can get in the weeds pretty deep on this, and again, I hope that you do. I hope that all membership does, and they look through that budget and they see, and they can ask those questions either to myself, town clerk, town manager, or the department heads during those budget meetings, and get clarity on what they need to know. I'm just saying this personally, I have high confidence in the town staff, the budgeting practices that they have. We, back in the day, we had some stuff that we looked at and said, yeah, we need to make some adjustments on those things. Town council made moves, RTM made moves, and the town departments and the town manager made adjustments to know what we're looking for, which is, again, having good services, keeping taxes low, and then also thinking about what we're going to do for quality of life and housing stock and all those other things that we think is important to have a wholesome town that, you know, I love and I'm very thankful to be living in. So, so yeah, and so again, these are kind of these guiding things that keep us working. I just wanted to go back real quick on that section 4 in the charter before we moved on, because again, I was trying to show you guys that there was a little bit of overlap here, but I know Chaz, you brought up something about the power of the veto, and again, it says it clearly on that page 6 under 4.6 that you have to have 2/3 vote of its total membership in order to veto or reject any legislative ordinance. Okay. And again, so in that case, we would have to use the bigger number, not the present number. Okay, so if we had 38 people that are elected, but we only had 22 show up, we would need to have, in essence, the 2/3, whatever that 2/3 of the 38 is, and if that number didn't equal the members that are present, then we couldn't veto that legislative ordinance that was coming out. Okay? Whereas it's a lot, it's different if I said, oh, I want to suspend the rules to talk about something like we did last week and approve those grants. You only have to have 2/3 of the members present in order to do that. So on bigger items, it's almost like another threshold to hit to make sure that all of us are engaged, all of us are involved in making decisions to approve or change what the town council has decided to do as a legislative ordinance. Right? That's it. And then again, there's also the other one for power of initiative. This is another thing that I don't really want to get in the weeds on right now, but it's in our charter, it's in our rules of the RTM that we're running under now, and it's going to stay in there. And when we have the 35th RTM as well, on how to enact something legislatively to, you know, make the town council act, and if they don't act, then it would go to a referendum. So I would say take a look at this, and you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer them for you. There's timelines and dates that have to be met in order to make something like that happen. In my day, there's been no power of initiatives that I've seen that have passed. There have been a couple that have been tried for certain reasons, and you can always go look back at the minutes and old videos. Now we got videos, so you can look at all those old meetings, which is great. All right. Okay, so that's all I have on this. I think we covered everything on the charter. If anyone has any questions, Wells, did you have any questions or anything? I know you've been a long time public servant, but if there's anything that I missed.
No, there's one thing that comes up. I think Representative Massett said, you listen to the deliberations of the council. I know in the past, I remember when there was a Republican supermajority, there was one Democrat and all Republicans. They would decide everything in caucus, and then they'd come out. I don't know whether they were at each other's throats or not, or what. We just don't know. And they came out, and then they'd say, Mayor Flack would say, "Are we ready to vote? Does anyone have any?" And if one counselor had something they wanted to say, then they'd get a chance to say something about it, and then they'd vote. But there was really, the discussion was all in caucus, and I think that happened last time with the last budget. The discussion happened entirely in caucus. So anyway, they don't see them going at each other's throats.
Thank you, Rep. Wells. And again, you bring up a great point. One of the things that we do at every RTM meeting prior to us having our meeting at 7 o'clock is we send out a caucus notification so that the parties can have discussions about whatever is going on the agenda. Those aren't foilable. You can have those discussions like Rep. Wells is saying, talk about, oh, there's item XYZ, there's an expenditure. A couple of members could say, yeah, I'm for it, I'm against it. There's a floor leader that's usually going to moderate that kind of discussion and debate. And sometimes there may be, agreements made, like you could say, and instead of having those discussions on the floor and rehashing it in front of each other, people could just get up and say, I'm in support of this, or I'm not in support of this, and they just kind of leave it at that. It basically, it's hard for me to say this, but it's, sometimes instead of airing everything out in the air, you have those respectful discussions in your caucus, and you can agree to disagree rather than putting out in full display, and you could just tamp it down slightly and say, all right, I'm not for this. I know I'm not going to get the support, but I'm just going to, make my voice heard that I'm rejecting this. Or you could decide that you wanted to make a motion to amend this or decrease this or increase this, whatever it might be. But sometimes having those conversations in caucus can be helpful, so that we're all working together and talking and collaborating. I can only say it on my side and my caucus that's happening, but I could, agree that that's probably happening on the same side, on the other side as well.
What about that? As a majority floor leader for 4 years, I was calling for a caucus every now and then. Minority people. What about now? Who can call for a caucus? Could I call for a caucus if I'm unaffiliated? Could I call for a caucus if I'm with the new group in town?
The Groton Independent.
Yeah. And if they can, well, let's just say something, just unaffiliated. And we call for a caucus, you're unaffiliated, and you're gonna bring in some Democrats or Republicans to the caucus.
Yeah, I don't know. I've in my time never seen that happen.
I know, because we haven't had some of.
I'm gonna yield the floor to our guest here. So please, give some background on that. I'd love to hear. Yes.
Caucus. I think the important thing to understand is the definition of caucus,
Yes,
and it's a definition from Freedom of Information.
right.
Definition of caucus, same party, same body. You cannot have Republicans and Democrats together. In
What
a
about
caucus.
affiliated? Can they go to either caucus?
Unaffiliated, if they were endorsed by a party and ran as a candidate for a party, okay, then for purposes of their having been elected. So if the Democrats or the Republicans endorse an unaffiliated to run, the person's elected as a Republican or a Democrat on the town register, there will be a little D or a little R after their
Yeah.
name. So yes, they can.
Yeah, and I understand all that, but there are unaffiliated. There are people who are not endorsed by either party that are on the RTM.
That's right. So, and again, well, there's,
Then,
well, they could caucus with their unaffiliated. They could have their caucus.
I'm not sure that's true, JC. I'm not sure
Okay.
unaffiliated
yeah,
is qualified as a
yeah, I
party.
don't know either.
So I don't know that they can. It may be possible for them to register for purposes of caucuses. My recollection from some years ago
Yeah.
is there's a way for people who are unaffiliated to register with a caucus for the purposes of the RTM. That's a question for the clerk to
Yeah.
ask the secretary.
Yeah, I would like.
The only one I,
JC, if I could jump in,
yes,
and just back up what Natalie said. A few years ago, there was someone who decided to leave her party and become unaffiliated. And she had to decide which party she was going to caucus with. The thing is, though, is if, say, she decided to caucus with the Democrats, she can't, like, 1 month caucus with the Democrats and then the next month caucus with the Republicans. Once that decision is made, that's it. They can't switch back and forth.
the last person I remember that was unaffiliated, that was caucusing with the party was Luann D'Amato. And you can look at the town register from probably 2015 or something. She was but caucused with the Republicans.
So she must have gone through this process of registering to caucus with the Republicans. And it's a process the Secretary of State can explain to.
Yeah, I will definitely make a call to the Secretary of State.
Yeah,
to find
I
out.
would like to be looked into that, because if I want to go to, I don't want to be, I'm unaffiliated, I don't want to be endorsed by either party. I want to know if I can attend a caucus, and can I go one time to the Republican caucus, another time?
Yeah,
And if I don't want to
It's
well, let's say that I go to one of the party, that I can go to that caucus
Yeah.
all the time to that one party.
Yes,
So I will
Is
put
that
a
in
call
our-
into the Secretary of the State to find out what is
Yeah,
that.
that I
process.
think that's.
and
I'm not trying to cause problems.
no, it's a great question, and I think it's worth exploring the answer.
Yeah.
To get some clarification.
Yeah, no, I'm very sure there is a process for an unaffiliated to do that. It's just the clerk needs to learn the details from the Secretary of State. And the other question, the person gets to pick which party they want to caucus with. I don't know if the party has any say in that. Okay.
The best example that I have for that I can even think of right now is Senator Bernie Sanders is an independent of caucuses with the Democrats.
Right.
I mean, he's not gonna say, oh, I'm gonna change my mind, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
caucus with the
Yeah.
Republicans. It's pretty definite. So,
Yes.
you may have a situation like that, but
Yeah, and we had Jim Gustafson, we had Mike Whitney, back when they were unaffiliated.
yes,
But again, they had been endorsed to run.
Yeah.
So
And the
slightly
same.
different, but I know there absolutely is a way.
Okay.
And the same.
all right, so we got some homework, guys.
And
All
I
right.
think the same thing with the new organization, the independent, the
The
new party.
Groton Independent.
Right, the Groton, so there's, okay.
Here's here's the best example I could give on that one. So there was a member of the Republicans that was cross-endorsed by the Groton Independents. Now, if the Groton Independents had won seats in that elected body, then that member that was cross-endorsed could caucus with one or the other. I don't think they could caucus with both. They would have to pick which one they would want to
Yeah.
caucus with.
Okay, yeah. That's one of the reasons I'm here. I saw.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the one that would be a good question, right? Okay, if you're cross-endorsed there and now you have three parties involved instead of the two, would that work?
Yeah.
Hey, all right, look at us. We should ask ChatGPT, maybe I should. All right,
But just to end this with the,
yeah,
everybody needing to understand, in the Democratic caucus, for instance,
Mhm.
I can't go into the Democratic caucus. I'm not a member.
you're not a
the
member of that
RTM.
body, yes.
Okay, so other Democrats can't go in, only Democrats who are on the RTM.
Okay, but I'm gonna throw a wrench in there right now. How about if you're a town councilor and you're an ex officio member, could you go in there?
That is a question I can't answer.
Okay, yeah, that's one we gotta, can you put that on the homework list too?
It's on my homework list.
Yeah, because remember, and Kyle's not here to hear this, but there are certain members, guys, that are ex officio members of different bodies. Now, Chaz were you Board of Ed chair at one point?
I can't remember.
All right.
Vice chair, but.
Okay.
Yeah, I was vice.
So that wouldn't count then. We have within the charter who are ex officio members of specific bodies.
Yes.
Okay, so town council has a body of 9. There, yes, that's everybody that sits over here, okay, in the middle is the mayor, and then all the other elected town councilors, and again, they get elected at large through the whole town, whereas we only get elected by our districts, okay? So again, we got the 7 districts, but they need to get elected by all 7 districts. Top 9 vote getters get it. All right, so each of the 9 of those town councilors are ex officio members of our body in the RTM.
Yeah.
So they have the right to speak at our meetings. They have the right to discuss and debate certain issues in certain parts of our agenda. They're excluded from other places in our agenda because they have the privilege of being able to speak at all other places. All right, so if we're talking about the minutes from the last meeting, if we're talking about budget items, if we're talking about a specific expenditure that we need to approve, they can call, they could be on Zoom, they could be in the hall, and they could raise their hand, and I, as the moderator, would recognize them as an ex officio member. The one thing that they're not able to do is vote on the item. Now, they can tell us, don't vote on this, they could say, vote for this, but they can't actually vote on that item. Okay? The other people that are ex officio members within the town of Groton is the town clerk. She is the ex officio member for the council as well as the RTM. There is the Board of Ed chair. There is the superintendent of schools and the town manager. So those people have the rights to speak at meetings, whether it's RTM and town council specifically. The Board of Ed one is a little different. Now, I am an ex officio member of the town council, so I have the right to speak at any point during the meeting if I wish. I could, talk in communications. I could talk about a specific line item on the agenda, but I can't do that at Board of Ed meetings. I'm not an ex officio member of that group. Okay, and again, I might be mistaken on the superintendent of the schools one. I think that's the only one that I'm probably incorrect on. It's definitely the Board of Ed chair, not the vice chair. Now, again, there've been some issues before where the chair says, oh, I'm going to make, Board of Ed member Baxton my liaison on that. Now, depending on the body, specifically, it's just that person, not their surrogate going over there and saying, oh, I'm going to have them speak on behalf of that. Now, I could accept that, or I could say, no, we wanted the ex officio member. And, you could even go get in the weeds with parliamentary procedure, and the group could say, I want to appeal the ruling of chair. I mean, that's fine, but as the chair of this committee on the RTM, I have the right to say yes or no on things, but you also have the right to appeal what I'm saying. But you'd have to have a certain amount of votes in order to do that. You'd have to have a 2/3 majority vote in order to appeal the ruling of chair. That's why I would say that this little handy dandy notebook, all right, is super helpful on learning the basics on what is appropriate to say and act and make moves on, and what you cannot do appropriately. And again, there's mechanisms in place to say, I like what you're saying, Rep, but this is the way we really need to do this to follow proper rules of procedure. Whether it's Robert's Rules of Order, our rule guiding document, the rules of the RTM, or the town charter.
And page 8 and 9 is like a quick glance. It'll tell you, this is a great cheat sheet right here.
Right, because there's some motions that you can make that are gonna be, you know, things that we can't actually discuss, like adjournment. If someone makes a motion to adjourn and someone seconds, there's no debate on that. I don't wanna leave yet. I wanna hang out with you guys more. I wanna talk some more. I can't do that, all right? But the only thing you could do is say no, all right? And then hope that the majority of no's outweigh the majority of yeses. And then that's it. And again, usually this only happens at the very tail end of a meeting. And, you know, as moderator for a couple of terms now, I make sure that there's ample time for everybody to get a chance to decide, hey, what do I want to do before I make that motion? Okay. There are some that are, there are some motions that we have that are, you can be interrupted. Rep. Wells, go ahead.
You're muted.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I've, a good friend of mine recently was elected mayor of East Cleveland, Ohio. And so I've been following things there. The mayor is allowed 5 minutes to speak at every council meeting, and that's it. So,
Yeah, and you know what, Rep. Wells, that could be something that they put in as a rule specifically, right? It might not be,
yeah.
but it might be in the rules of that council or committee or RTM. All right, we've seen over the years that there's been rules that we put in our RTM rules specifically because we saw things that were occurring that they wanted to prevent. Same sense here at the town council. Both bodies right now are going to be working on updating, modifying, adding, deleting certain rules that are going to best serve following good order, making sure that the job in business of the town is getting done in an efficient and professional manner. I love working with you guys in the RTM because we get our work done, everybody feels accomplished, and we do it with respect and integrity and professionalism for all. So I really appreciate that out of everyone. And I also want to note that, you know, we all have the ability to speak and say what we feel on things like that. And I always want that to be maintained because with us, we have more members of our community that represent all of us, right? And in those 7 districts, whether it's the 4 people in one district or multiple people in others, and you know, we're all elected by those folks to represent all of them. Now, we try our best. We're not going to do it all perfect every time. And if there's something that a constituent, a resident, a town member, anyone needs, we're available. I know I am, where they can call me, or they can send me an email, or they can pass it along through various channels, or they can come speak at our meetings, which I think is even more important. Having those folks come out and let us know during our public petitions that, you know, I'm passionate about this one specific thing, and I hope you guys can consider this. And if it's something that requires us talking about it more, we can always, as an RTM, make a referral. That's one of the things that's in our rules here, where if you're interested in making a referral, we can do it during a regular meeting and follow that procedure. Or you can reach out to me and say, hey, I've got 4 or 5 members that are interested in speaking about X, Y, Z about this specific department, let's talk about it. And then we can have those discussions. I'm not gonna say that the results of that endeavor are gonna succeed or fail or anything, but we can still have those conversations in public meetings. So that we are showing that we're transparent, at least responsive to the folks that are asking these questions.
Because I'm just curious, so if we don't really start getting to the thicker stuff in May until May, what are we doing every month prior to that?
And that's,
Other than the public, if public people come in and want to speak about, they have a passion about something specific that they know we're gonna look at, vote on,
you know,
what is gonna happen every month until,
that's a great question. And so,
should I already know that?
no, not at all. And that's actually what's next on the agenda. That's what's,
Thank you.
yeah, that's,
Well, May's the deal.
yeah. Well, that's actually what's the next thing on the agenda. I mean, we kind of went over most of the guide to the government. We talked about RTM, town council, and the 9 members. Town manager is our manager of all operations, town side of operations in the government. So again, public works, public safety, parks and rec, community development, all those other things, human services. He operates and runs all of those based on, the day-to-day. Like, so whatever he's done. Excuse me?
So he might come.
Yes,
he's
and
there,
he-
he may bring something up that
Correct.
we
And
need to be thinking of.
so at our meeting last Wednesday, he came with his report. He usually kind of gives us the budget lowdown on, what we approved and how much is being spent. And, if there's something coming out of contingency, he'll give us the heads up, what updates in progress on certain development that's been happening. And then he'll always send us that report so that we have that documentation to go along with it. And I do believe we put that online too, so that's available for the whole public to see. So again, and then Board of Ed is the other entity that's in town that's elected. They have their charge as stewards of the Groton Public Schools. They're gonna come up with their budget. The one thing that we briefly discussed at our last meeting was Board of Ed comes up with their budget, and like you had mentioned, Kyle, before, we can't tell them what to do with their budget. Like they say, hey, we're gonna pay all of our teachers based on the collective bargaining. We're gonna, put in this program. We're gonna maintain all of our schools, this, that, here's our number. And as we mentioned before, we are not able to reduce the number based on last year's number unless there are specific things that happen, which is a population decrease. Okay, otherwise, then we're either going to have to accept in this next budget that's coming up for fiscal year, we would have to accept the number that we had last year or whatever number is increased from that. Okay, so they're going to give us their number. Going to go to the town council. They're going to decide what they want to do. If they keep the number the same, then it's a simple majority for us to accept that number. If it's a number that's lower, it's a simple majority. But if, let's say, the town council reduced the number, then it would be if there was a desire of our body to increase that funding back to the level that was requested by the Board of Ed, we would need a 2/3 majority vote in order to do it. Okay. And then from there, we go to the agenda. So every month we'll have an agenda. The town clerk's office works great on sending us that agenda. Part of our rules that we have right now that we're using on the 34th RTM outline what our order of business is. So I don't know if we have this one here. It was in our packet from our last meeting. But our standard roll call or order of business is roll call, moment of silence, salute the flag, approval of the minutes from the last meetings, public petitions, which is that public comment section, receipt of communications. If you happen to get an email or someone asks you, to read this into the record, I mean, I hope that nobody does that all the time because it really takes a whole lot of time, but they have the right to do it. Report of the town manager, economic development, report of the superintendent of schools, reports from committees. We got our liaison reports, which Representative Wells is on the Golf Advisory Committee. And also another homework assignment on Town Clerk. Can we get the list of all the other liaison people that we have? So we have through the RTM a few liaisons. One of them is economic development, which Representative Overy's been doing. Representative Wells been doing the golf advisory. He always gives us an update. But we also had one that I had mentioned before, where we had the group of 3: Board of Ed, Town Council, RTM, City Council. Am I missing one? I think I'm missing somebody. But again, it's a group of all of the elected bodies within the subdivisions and the town that have conversations, all right? And I remember when this happened many years ago, it was just to increase the lines of communications amongst the different groups so that we could see that we're all, like, hey, what are you guys thinking? What are we thinking? Are we on the same page? Can I learn something from what you guys are thinking? Whatever it is, all right? So that's basically the line of business. And then we got budget discussion, other business, and adjournment. This has changed over the years. I remember back in the day, we didn't have budget discussion. We put that in there in part of our rules so that for the folks that wanted to have some conversations after the budget or prior to a budget, like Representative Fox did this past meeting, he has the right to do it. And we can talk about it and see whether it's something that's worth going to referral or worth saying, oh, let's talk about this and let's write a letter or something. I'm just throwing things out that I've experienced throughout my time here. If for some reason there's nothing to do, we won't meet. But we've been meeting pretty consistently, and the reasons why is because we have something to act upon that might need our approval in order to get the next step going. So, and a lot of them are these grants that we've been getting, like we saw last Wednesday. Like, these things are dependent on us moving forward so that they can get the money in the hands of the kids so that they can start working on increasing the Wi-Fi, or they can start working on that hydroponics garden. So I wouldn't want to delay that if we don't have to. And I'd rather get it done sooner rather than later, so we can keep it moving. So so right now, the best advice that I can give any new members is to keep watching the meetings. Not only ours, maybe go back and, see our meeting, and then when you're looking at your minutes at the next meeting in January, you can see, oh yeah, I remember this happened, or I don't remember this happening, and it kind of refreshes your memory. Again, I can do it while washing dishes, deboning chicken, and I'll sit there and listen to a meeting. A good example would be, and like I'll go back to what Brett Masson said, not only in the budget season, but go back and look at some of these committee meetings that are happening on the town council level. All right, see personnel appointments if that's something that you're interested in, or I could watch a planning and zoning meeting, or a historic district commission meeting, or an inland wetlands commission meeting, or fair rent. There's a whole lot of options now, and it's great that we have the accessibility with, again, I got to give props to Sean and his staff. They've been doing a phenomenal job on recording and documenting everything so that it makes it more accessible to just about anyone. So, and now I know that they've gotten a couple of grants over the years. The storage capacity is great, and it's basically redundant. I think it's going to the Library of Congress right now, what we're doing. So it's pretty amazing how far we've come. Whereas, I'd have to scribble and write down what these minutes are and send it and scan it and then leave a picture, or if somebody asks for it at the town clerk's office, they go, give me the paper. So it's really great. So again, I can't tell you what to do, but the more you can do, the better. The more that we all can do, the better, to make us more knowledgeable, because this area is that stepping stone for folks. I can remember in 2009 when I first started, it was mind blowing. Like, oh wow, this is what happens. This is how things get done, and and you learn. And I kind of found a niche. I said, oh, I really am passionate about Parks and Rec and learning about what they're doing with open space and parks. And for me, now we have a disc golf facility, which is fantastic, and I love it. Yes, Natalie.
Your question was great. What do you do the other months. What I always like to say about the RTM is the other months that we're not doing the budget in May is a lot of learning.
Yeah.
Learning about the town, about the departments, you're meeting the staff, you're getting to know who does what. And that's a reassuring thing to new members, that you have time to learn some things before you get your first budget. The other point I want to make, we talked about May being the important budget month and watching council meetings in April. But don't forget, the Board of Education is 2 months ahead of where the town is. The Board of Education budget has to be presented to the Board of Ed at the beginning of January. Okay, January and February, the Board of Ed will be reviewing their budget. They have to approve it by the end of February. People often forget that the Board of Ed budget is being created months before the town budget's being created.
Yep.
I think that's really important, but as much as you can watch the Board of Ed meetings in January, February, when they're doing budget, even if you don't watch all their regular meetings. And the nice thing on YouTube, watch them on YouTube, you can fast forward through something. And I don't really need to hear all of this, but we do want to hear some parts, explanations, what's being presented, what's being asked for. So watching the meetings on YouTube is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and again, it's a great point because the bulk of our budget comes from the Board of Ed. And if you want to get those questions answered, you probably, just like you talked about with town council, it's probably been asked by the Board of Ed members or answered by the staff, the superintendent, to get clarification on what specific line items are, what this expenditure is for, where our revenues are coming from. So yeah, fantastic point. Thank you.
And Kyle asked about line item control, and you explained, no, the RTM doesn't have line item control. But don't take that to mean that if you look at a budget, or the department's budget, and you don't agree with something they're proposing to spend money on, that you can't say, you know, I move to cut $50,000 because I don't agree with adding a position. Or I to cut 50,000 because one year I was on the RTM, the police department wanted to bring in more dogs. For whatever reason, a lot of people on the RTM did like that. I wanted to cut the money that would have funded the police dog. They don't have line item control, but you give a rationale for your cut. And if that's your rationale, you say it. What the town manager, I can hear him, said to the RTM is, you don't have line item control, but if you think I'm not listening to your rationale, if I'm not listening to your reasons and hearing, people don't really support this thing, you would be mistaken. So those opinions that get expressed will often influence what the town manager or the department head decides to do. And ditto on the school board. There was a year, many years ago, the school board wanted to buy a computer for every student, the RTM did not like that idea. And they did not do it when the money was cut for that reason. So you don't have line item control, but you do have line item influence. So I wanted to make that point. And you, Chaz, you asked if any member can call for a caucus. My answer would be, yeah, any member can, I think. Typically, they go to their floor leader.
Yes.
And would ask the floor, hey, floor leader, would you ask for a caucus? That's more typical.
Usually as the moderator, I
See, I would have floor leader.
Well, if you choose.
I know if I wanted to.
If we learn the procedure.
Yeah, it happens from time to time. You know, I mean, I remember going right into budget meeting and the very first thing we did, we're going to caucus. You know, and that was the first item on the agenda. And again, some people decided to go in and others didn't, but yeah, the proper procedure, at least we've seen in past precedent, was hey, I want to have a caucus about this, and talk to the floor leader, and the floor leader would say to the moderator, yeah, can we have a caucus? And I'd say, absolutely, yeah. Right, so yeah, that's the agenda, RTM agenda piece of things. I don't see it changing, very much in the next rules of the RTM. But again, we put those in place because over the years, there were a few in there, like other business wasn't there, or report from the superintendent was there. There was an ask to have those things in there because we wanted an update from the superintendent of schools. If for some reason there's something that you would want on the agenda to discuss during our meeting, I think the best way to do it would be to reach out to me, reach out to the town clerk and say, hey, I want to talk about this specific item. And we can put it in the agenda under other business or wherever we think it fits best, okay? So yeah, that's it on the RTM agenda. And then we go to committee meetings, which is the last, one of the last on here is the committee meetings. For our rules, everybody is going to be assigned to a committee. You can be in one, no more than two. And I'm going to be organizing those committee assignments the next couple of weeks. I'll have them prepared prior to our January meeting. I'm going to try to fulfill all the requests that members asked. There was a sheet that was given by the town clerk's office just to say what the requests are, and then I'll try to put those together. I cannot guarantee that I'm going to get you what you want, but I'm going to try my best. Part of our rules say we have to have a certain number of members in the committee. I might boost the numbers this year because what I've learned in the last session, we had a tough time getting quorums. Because I try to keep them small because I know everybody's got busy schedules and life's going on and all that. So I kind of kept them small, but we've had a tougher time getting a quorum. So I might boost the numbers. So you guys might get your first two picks. You might get your second and third pick, not first, but I'm trying to boost the numbers so that we can get more membership engaged in our job as overseeing whatever is coming our way for the whole body. I try to be fair and balanced when it comes to the representation of both parties in this. However, we're pretty low in minority representation numbers. So there's a mechanism within our town, or excuse me, our RTM rules that override me having to have, you know, a specific number of representatives from a minority party on those committees. If we're depleted of the people, I've asked. And for example, for certain members, if they were interested, I basically would ask them first and say, are you guys interested in being in this committee? No? Okay, well, I'm going to fill the seat with somebody that wants to be on there and that is asked and interested in being there. So it's tough to juggle sometimes, but I do my best. And when we have the meetings, a lot of times they're done right before our regular meeting. I would always encourage them to have it prior to the meeting so that it's, you know, a little separate. You don't feel so stressed out. But if it's something that's, I guess, something that would be more consequential and impactful, I would say have a meeting the week before. You might need a second meeting sometimes. So you could just postpone what you're doing and then, you know, come back, or recess, should I say, and then come back on the next meeting. That might happen for some of you on some of your committee assignments during the budget season. So Dawn is the go-to contact in the town clerk's office to organize these meetings. Her contact information is on the website. It's in this agenda. And you can always reach out to her and say, or she'll reach out to you, especially if we have a referral that's coming up. She's going to contact all committee members and say, hey, what days do you want to meet? The chair is probably going to coordinate with you guys and see which one or what time works best. Remember, virtual is okay. If that's going to make the meeting happen more efficiently and quickly, and you know, making sure we're herding everybody together to get that quorum is really important. So that's what I got on that. Yes.
I was wondering for the January RTM meeting, is there a date for that? Is that the
Yes.
What date is it?
Our date is always the second second Wednesday of the month, and it's the 14th of January. So the meeting before,
council meets every first Tuesday.
First Tuesday, regular meeting.
Okay. And RTM is the second Wednesday of every month.
What do you recommend if you can't make it TME day? Like January 14th, I will not be able to make
Oh, you just told us.
Just told us.
Contact the office.
Oh,
it. Sorry.
Yeah, just contact us. You send an email to myself or the town clerk. And then basically during communications, I'll let people know that, Representative Thaxton wasn't able to attend. He notified the office.
Yeah.
All right, and it's no worries at all. I know we all got stuff going on and it's busy out there, but just let us know so that we make sure that we get a quorum. Because if we have something to act on and we don't have that half a membership out there, it's gonna be tough to, and it could be something that they might need right away. I'm gonna guilt you right now, but okay, that's gonna be, all right, that's a lot down. Yeah.
Point three, you know. It's-
Yeah, when there's an agenda item for a committee thing, that's the one that really. But again, we can always suspend the rules. I don't want to do that. I'd rather follow the process or at least eliminate the rule, but I like it because it gives us the opportunity to have one last look at things. And if the public is interested on certain things, they can have one last look and they can come speak at our public petitions and have their voice heard. More opportunities we have to speak, the better. Limited, I would say. I mean, that's why we give them 5 minutes or less. I mean, if you can't say your point within 5 minutes, I think, that's Representative Chase. I remember her saying that one time, so that was great. But yeah, that's what we got. So other than that, we have our last agenda item, which is the FOIA thing, right?
Yes,
You
and
wanna take that one over?
I gave them all the information, so here's the information for the FOIA. I gave you the parliamentary procedure book. I told you where the best cheat sheet is. This is like, my personal one is highlighted, so I
Yes.
can see which ones are used the most. And it is a really good, when you go home, take a peek, it is really good. And it tells you about the meetings, the minutes as well. The regular meetings, the minutes have to be posted within 7 days. The votes within 48 hours. Special meetings is a little different, but everything is there for you guys to highlight that. You guys have any questions about that?
If we could find out, I don't remember I don't know if the town council is gonna do that FOIA one again. But if we can go back and try to get the town council meeting that they had 2 years ago, where Tom Hennick and the FOIA crew came out, that might be good to just share with everybody so that they can get their questions asked. I believe the city council has it on GMTV as well. They went to both bodies. They didn't come to us, but I think it's a helpful resource for everybody.
Okay, because I believe I put on the email, Attorney Kelly, when she did the training
Okay.
on.
Oh, on the Zoom. All right, yes, okay, that'd be a good one as
I did
well.
attach that one to the email, but
Okay.
How many new members are there?
Listen, well, see here, I gotta, I'd have to.
I want to
look
say
real quick.
10, but I
Let
don't.
me look here.
Yes. And while you're
Because
looking,
5 were seated at the meeting.
on,
5 were seated at the meeting, right?
that I'm one of those 5.
We're one of those 5.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well, while you're looking that up, I just want to say something to Melanie and Kyle, and I did say it to you, Kyle, at the meeting, how I appreciated you being there. And I told you, Melanie, too, I appreciated that you people decided to run. And don't get overwhelmed by this. You can enjoy this. And we have a great moderator, and there are a lot of people on there that I know out of your age group and everything that will help you in any way. And don't feel like any of your questions are, there aren't any dumb questions. Ask them.
Yep.
Ask those questions, and enjoy the moment there. And just as realize you're here, like you're trying to improve the quality of life for all of the Groton citizens. And that's whatever reason why you ran, we, the Groton citizens, appreciate you being. So don't take it slowly, and you have 3 other people right here that have just addressed some issues and things. And you can't understand everything they just said to you today. You can't leave here, it doesn't happen right away. It'll happen over some time. So don't get discouraged. And I'm thanking you again for being there and being
Here.
And all you guys.
Yeah.
So you said that the town council's first Tuesday and we're second Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
A good resource for you is gonna be looking on the Town of Groton website under agenda meetings.
Yep.
And minutes. So if you go to that tab, you'll see the whole calendar and see what meetings are being held on what given day. You can also go on Facebook. I know, Mayor Parker's been really good about sending out a communication during the weekend on what, boards, commissions, town council, RTM is happening on a weekly basis. And again, town council's regular meeting is always on the first Tuesday, but they also have COW's committee of the holes, which they'll have discussions on items that'll eventually, if passed and approved, will get brought up at the next regular town council meeting and approved at that. So, so there's a lot of fun watching out there if you
Yeah.
if you like this.
Town register, which I try to, it
Yeah.
gets updated quite frequently. But this has like all the information as far as boards and commissions, the RTM, town council, the town manager, harbor master, the state reps, the.
Yeah, probate judge, yeah,
Probate judge,
everybody.
like,
Yep.
everything here, and if there's a vacancy.
Self importance.
Yes.
On the page.
So this is also a good resource, okay, it really is. Groton-ct.gov should be your best friend now, you should have it on bookmark.
Mark it,
Okay, bookmark it.
get an app for that.
There's a lot of information.
Hey, what is it?
Groton,
Oh, Groton.
yep, hyphen or dash ct.gov.
And that thing's called the town register.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I thought I said that. I did, okay, town register, yes,
Nuts and bolts of
of
everything.
everything,
Who's who and what's what and how to get in touch with them.
and how to get,
Yeah.
this one is.
That's
not
on the
updated.
website as well.
Yeah.
I have a question, but it really should be after the adjournment. And I just say to Melanie and Kyle, don't even, what I'm gonna ask right now, but there are three people that happen to be sitting here that are more knowledgeable than I am about certain things especially. So this isn't anything that's even gonna come up at the RTM. I am the founder of the Groton Education Foundation and currently serve on the board of directors. And the question on here, before I fill it out tomorrow for you, says, do you belong to a department, an organization, a group that receives money from the town of Groton? If so, explain. Now, how do you look at that? Mostly we give money not to just the town of Groton. We give to the Mystic Knowing Library, we give to the Groton Public Library, we give to Children's First. And we've been doing that now for 25, 26 years. But sometimes money comes back to us from the school system if the person who received the grant didn't use the money or it gathered interest or so I don't want, so my role, I don't want it to affect anything. And that's another reason I'm here. I don't think I'm really receiving, not me personally, the Groton Education Foundation is receiving. We get all of our monies from people who support us, but a lot of them are people in town government, but it's their own support. So that shouldn't be considered. I'm not, we haven't asked the Board of Ed, the town council or the RTM, that I can recall in the 25 years to, give us a grant or to give us monies, but we're doing it just with the Groton school system, back and forth for our records and their records. we don't do the same thing with our big Mystic Nine Library. I mean, we don't, we cut them a check and they get it with Groton. We're keeping a better tabs on that check and what's happening to those monies. So is that something?
No, that's it, no, not at all, and, you know, that's, I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's not specific to that, but it's something else that may come up during budget season. We have a rule within the, our, RTM rules, 8.1, which is personal interest, conflict of interest, and I'll read it to you. Any member shall disqualify themselves from voting if they have a conflict of interest in the subject matter under consideration as defined in the town charter, and I'll refer to that in a second. Any member who voluntarily does not vote on an issue shall retain all of the right to their office. The town charter requires any member who has a financial interest, direct or indirect, in any contract, transaction, or decision of the RTM to disclose that interest so that they may be recorded into the record. Okay, so again, under what you're describing, I would say at the very least, you just say, I just want to make it known that I am a member of this group. That's it. You know, you don't have to recuse yourself. You don't have to do anything like that. And then it goes to, going deeper now into 3.5.3 of the town charter, which gets a little lengthy, but again, it basically hones in on this personal interest, conflict of interest, where no elected or appointed official, member of any town ABC, those are commissions and boards and committees, or town employee shall use his or her official position or office, or take or fail to take action or influence others to take any fail of any action in a manner that he or she knows has reason to believe may result in personal or financial gain, or will suffer a direct monetary loss, as the case may be, by reason of his or her official activity as stated by the Connecticut general statutes. And it goes on to detail here. We also have in there a code of ethics that goes along with it. The best example I could give is saying that I'm a contractor and I sell asphalt, and I'm a member of the RTM, and all of a sudden my contract comes up that I'm going to be the main asphalt guy. All right. And I'm going all in. Yeah. You know, and if I didn't say anything about this prior, then I'd be in violation of our rules. I'd be in violation of the town charter. I'd be in violation of Connecticut general statutes, and something could happen to me. Now, and again, litigation wise, all right. It could be in violation of the code of ethics and other things like that. That's like the worst case scenario that happens. We've had people that have been involved in committees and boards, and I'll be honest, because I've done it before. My wife's a school teacher, so I declare that, you know, she's a town employee for the Groton Public Schools, and I'm going to abstain from voting. Okay, I, you know, based on legal opinion and other things like that, I still technically, based on what I've heard, have the right to vote, yay or nay on that, but I choose to be an arbiter of, you know, making sure the meeting is held in order and other things like that, and I feel that that's more appropriate for me, but I could, in fact, vote in favor of it.
Yeah, as an educator, I voted on the education budget while I was part of the system.
Mm-hmm.
And many times there were people who would say it's a conflict of interest, and we'd have to get, and the lawyers always ruled in our favor. That one of the words in there is personal. I didn't have to get any individual or personal gain from the contract that was signed or not signed. And so even on the RTM, I was challenged if I voted on the Board of Education budget. Well, I couldn't be on the Board of Ed.
Yes.
That's but yeah, okay.
I'm glad this came up, because it comes up at the RTM a lot.
Yeah.
And someone will question whether someone has a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
The legal standard, the legal language is, as long as the person is not benefiting more than anyone else in their class or their group.
Mm-hmm.
So even a teacher can vote if they're comfortable on the education budget. That's not a conflict of interest. They are not personally benefiting. They don't benefit any more than
any other
ones.
teacher.
Correct.
I would always declare it though, just.
Yep, it's always good to just make it known for the record so that there's no, it's good transparency.
There, when I was on the RTM, it became at one point amusing because there were so many challenges about this person shouldn't be able to vote because of, and this person shouldn't be able to vote because of.
Yeah.
And one member stood up and said, well, then we all shouldn't be able to vote because we're all paying taxes.
Yeah.
So we have a personal interest. And by the way, none of us could vote on the sewer fund because we're all using the sewer and, so the whole notion of conflict of interest can get taken to an extreme or it
Right.
becomes kind of
Right.
Yeah, just,
And I don't-
just play on the safe side, everybody, and just disclose what you feel like might be something, not that you're not gonna be able to vote, but just make it known for the record. Right.
And there may be people like you, JC, who choose to recuse themselves, they're more comfortable, that's fine.
Yeah.
But they don't actually
Yeah.
have to.
Right. Understood.
Yep.
All right, so that's about it. Unless anybody else has any comments or questions that need to be asked, we can do that. Do you feel like you learned something, everybody? All right. Anybody at home who's watching this after post-production, if you have any questions.
No, we're
please,
fine here. Hello
reach out.
out there.
Yeah, and reach out to Rep. Wells.
Yeah. And Jackie too.
All right. Other than that, if there's nothing else,
And I think one more thing,
yes.
it might be to your benefit to get a copy of last year's budget. Just to be able to look at it, start familiarizing yourself with the budget book before you're in. My guess is we have extra
I
copies.
will
at
check
town
to
hall.
see if we have any
And
extra.
if not, we can certainly reach out to some members who were on last year but
Yeah.
aren't now and ask for their budget books
Yeah.
so that you can have them just.
And it's also on the town of Groton website, so you can always look at last year's budget there too. And again, lots of numbers and stuff, in different sections. A good way to ease in is look at what the town manager's report is and in his discussion at the beginning of the book, and it'll guide you in a logical way to get you to understand where those numbers are coming from, where the increases you're seeing, and in every section of each department, it'll tell you, hey, this one went up or this one was reduced by a certain amount. Here's the reason why. And so that kind of gives you that outline on what that is, as well as, and I forgot to mention, the capital improvement projects. Okay, so again, sometimes you may see something this year, and you're like, why are we doing this now? Wait, did we do this other part first? And then you'll look back and see that there was a study or an engineering, or we did step 1 or we're on step 4 of this project now. This is why we see step 6. So it's always good to go back in that, and they usually show that language and text within the document to kind of guide you along and say, hey, this is the rationale for this.
I know it's late, so I'm sorry, but
That's all right.
you just said study. I'm curious, can the RTM ask the local agencies to conduct a study on a certain particular issue, or is that mostly for state? Like
Can you be more specific?
Like, let's say we wanted to do a study on like affordable housing. I'm sure that's been done, but like, let's say an RTM member was like, I want us to do a study so it's in the record. I was just curious.
I would have to say no on that. That's not necessarily part of our charge. What I would recommend is reaching out to the town council who could take that action.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, and again, you might already have one, Kyle, and the thing to do would be reach out to the town manager and say, hey, what's the update on our affordable housing stock or housing stock? I mean, he gave us a great document. If I can look back at my emails from last year on the step-by-step process, and we'll start seeing economic development with Director Reiner and his staff coming in there and showing where we're at in certain projects, what the benchmarks are and our goal setting is. It's been really good over these last few years. They gave us that information. We've been doing all of those different meet and greet sessions. I believe Director Reiner just last week, if people are watching at home, look on GMTV from last week, he did a League of Women Voters information session on Groton governance on top of that, which was really helpful. I started watching it. And he did a good job on it, and he also deferred, hey, I don't know all this stuff, so if you need to know anything, talk to these folks. But it was a helpful resource, again, for folks that are interested in learning about Groton governance, how things work around here, what our boards and commissions are, and what different tasks and different departments are. So it's great. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So I don't know if we can motion adjourn and everybody's okay. Yeah. All right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. No. That's all right. All right, so again, thank you for Councilor Melendez for putting this on, and thank you for everybody for coming. Thanks
Thank
Trevor,
you.
for being here. You guys have a great holiday. We'll see you next year.
Well.
All right.